In this video, we will talk about the first group of cardiac abnormalities that will lead to left-to-right shunt. It includes patent foramen ovale, atrial septal defect, ventricular septal defect, and patent ductus arteriosus. But we will only talk about patent foramen ovale and atrial septal defect in this video. Now, let's discuss the normal embryology. Now, this area is for atria, and this is endocardial cushions. So, new tissue forms in the roof of the primitive atrium. Then, there is thin, curved septum. It is the septum primum. This septum primum extends down from the roof, growing towards the endocardial cushions. Now, you can see the gap. So, the gap remaining inferior to the septum primum is the ostium primum, as this gap is developed due to septum primum. So, that's why the name of the gap is ostium primum, as it is derived from septum primum. Now this septum primum extends down from the roof, growing towards the endocardial cushion, and meet the endocardial cushion. Now, again, there is a gap develop here, as this gap occurs after formation of ostium primum. So, it is called as ostium secundum. Class. Ostium means the gap. Now, a second ridge of tissue grows from the roof of the atrium. As you can see, the second ridge of tissue grows on the right side of the septum primum. This is called the septum secundum. It is called septum secundum because it occurs after septum primum. Now, septum secundum grows towards the endocardial cushions, but stops short. Now class, pay attention. Holes and flap of the septum primum against septum secundum form a one-way valve allowing blood to shunt from the right atrium to the left, but not in reverse. This is the foramen ovale. We will discuss patent foramen ovale first, as we know that this area fuses after birth. But in patient of patent foramen ovale, these flaps do not fuse, and blood will flow from right to left. Class, let me highlight the key points here. Although their size is adequate, but they don't fuse. But the flow of blood is transient.
But sir, what does transient blood flow mean?
Well, class, when the pressure in the left atrium is high, the flap remains close. There is no flow of blood from left to right. But when there is high pressure in right atrium, the flap opens and flow of blood occurs from right to left atrium. This is called as transient blood flow. These circumstances include sneezing or coughing, and even straining during a bowel movement. Autopsy studies have shown an incidence of 27% in the US population, but those with this defect generally do not have symptoms. Treatment varies, depending upon age and associated problems, but often no treatment is necessary. Now, moving to the next type of cardiac abnormality of first group, which is the atrial septal defect, which also leads to left-to-right shunt.
Sir, as the name indicates, that it must be the defect related to atria.
Yes, you are right. In atrial septal defect, the flaps are not of adequate size, so there is a hole between right atrium and left atrium, and there is continuously exchange of blood between both sides. This atrial septal defect is caused due to ostium primum defects, which are 5% cases. It is also caused due to ostium secundum, which are 95% cases.
So, sir, I will sum up the key points of atrial septal defect. These flaps are not of adequate size. There is a proper hole. Due to this proper hole, there is continuous exchange of blood between both atria. But sir, what should be the treatment of atrial septal defect?
Well, treatment of atrial septal defect is surgical. Now, let's compare patent foramen ovale and atrial septal defect. You can see both of these defects are in atrial region, but main difference are that in patent foramen ovale. There is no hole. When pressure on right side increase, flap will open. A transient flow of blood occurs. Otherwise, it remain close. So, in patent foramen ovale, there is a restricted blood flow. But in atrial septal defect, there is a proper hole. And there is continuously exchange of blood between right and left region. And there is unrestricted blood flow. So this was all. In our next video, we will talk about third and fourth cardiac abnormalities of first group, which are the ventricular septal defect and patent ductus arteriosus.
Upgrade your medical education with sqadia.com, the ultimate online video platform tailored for medical students and professionals.